A very good evening and welcome to Thursday's edition of Primetime News on Channel 1 MTV. I'm Ravi Gamage.
And I'm Kumarini Rajakaruna. The Ministry of Sports announced today that a new interim committee will be appointed to run Sri Lanka cricket.
Meanwhile, the International Cricket Council has come down hard on cricket boards run by government-appointed committees.
Details of this story coming up on Sports First tonight, but before that, let's take a look at tonight's headlines.
Vehicles stalled in various areas of the island today as well. Motorists charged that substandard fuel is being distributed. However, Petroleum Minister says that fuel is of the required standard. Two UPFA groups clash in Kadwala. One person sustains injuries. Chinese renminbi to be used in banking transactions in Sri Lanka. African Union Commission chief frowns on France's decision to airdrop weapons to Libyan rebels.
For the stories in detail now. A group of representatives of the Commonwealth Games Evaluation Commission met President Mahinda Rajapaksa yesterday. The Commonwealth Games Evaluation Commission convened a media briefing today. We will have the details of this media briefing on Sports First.
The group of representatives of the Commonwealth Games Evaluation Commission, led by its chairman Louis Martin, are in the country to evaluate and assess Sri Lanka's bid as a candidate for the Commonwealth Games in 2018. According to a communique issued by the President's media unit, they met the President subsequent to an inspection tour of the Hambantota Stadium. Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Nivard Cabral said that the Commonwealth Games Evaluation Commission had said that Sri Lanka's bid was satisfactory.
There have been questions raised about the quality of petrol being sold at fuel stations across the country. The issue surfaced when many vehicles that pumped petrol began stalling shortly afterwards. With complaints mounting, the government began looking into the matter last week. However, the problem seems to be far from being resolved. Today, our correspondents came across many vehicles that had stalled after pumping petrol.
We have received reports of vehicles stalling in the middle of the road in several parts of the island. According to motorists, this is due to a difference in composition of fuel.
Incidentally, such incidents are being reported from vehicles which use 90-octane petrol. Some drivers say that they are greatly inconvenienced as their vehicles have completely stalled.
We had to replace the injector pump and several other units in the vehicle. I had pumped a full tank of petrol. The vehicle stopped in the middle of the road. When we checked, there was water in the petrol. The vehicle stopped after less than a kilometer into the journey. I was on a hire. The vehicle stopped right here in Mount Lavinia. There was water in the tank. I have lost a lot of hires owing to this. Authorities have to be held responsible for this.
Meanwhile, News First cameras also captured the manner in which fuel pumps at some filling stations were dysfunctional. Due to this, the issuing of petrol at some filling stations has been stopped.
We cannot provide this petrol to the customers. Hence, we have stopped pumping petrol.
We are inconvenienced without petrol.
It is also being reported that consumers in some areas are buying petrol from various outlets without going to filling stations.
We are pumping petrol for a high price now.
In this backdrop, the number of vehicles being brought to garages has also increased.
We get a lot of complaints from motorbike owners. We service around 30 to 40 bikes a day. The next day, around 4 to 5 bike owners lodge complaints stating that their bikes have stalled. We get a lot of complaints from our customers relating to bikes stalling on the road.
When inquired about this, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation Common Services Union said, according to information that they have received, this situation has arisen owing to an emergency purchase that was carried out.
The oil refinery in Sapugaskanda had to be shut down for 8 days for emergency repairs. The machines are 45 years old. Therefore, yesterday the CATB of the Cabinet appointed tender board had to make an emergency purchase. Therefore, the CATB made an emergency purchase of 20,000. Owing to this, the amount of petrol at petrol sheds reduced to the bottom of the tank by the person day. When fuel tankers arrives, it is inspected twice. Now they have confirmed that the specification of the fuel tanker is correct. But this oil went in at a time when the oil was very low at the sheds. Furthermore, owing to rain, water had leaked into some fuel tanks. This usually happens.
In a letter to Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa, the acting leader of the United National Party, Karujaya Surya, requests him to put an end to the attempts being made to interfere with the privileges of a parliamentarian. In his letter, the acting leader of the United National Party states that information has come to light that the Criminal Investigations Department is attempting to question parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayaka based on a revelation he made in Parliament recently and also based on views expressed at a media briefing. MP Karujaya Surya notes that this may amount to a constitutional violation of freedom of expression of a parliamentarian. The acting leader of the United National Party requests the Speaker to inform the Inspector General of Police in this regard and to put an end to interfering with parliamentarians' privileges.
A clash erupted today between two groups of United People's Freedom Alliance candidates contesting the Kadwela Municipal Council. A high-ranking police officer stated that the OICs of 3 police stations are conducting investigations into the incident, while an individual has been taken into custody on suspicion.
This clash erupted in the Yakala area in Velehandiya, Kadwela. United People's Freedom Alliance candidate for the Kadwela Municipal Council, Buddhiga Jaivilal, charged that an armed group who had arrived near his house had opened fire. This is a thuggish act of a former chairman of the Kadwela Pradesh Sabha. They were prepared to kill me. Gunshots were fired thrice and then they fled. They also opened fire at 3 of my vehicles before leaving. Minister of Construction and Engineering Services Vimal Weerawansa arrived at the scene of the incident this morning. Various individuals who played out public funds from the Kadwela Pradesh Sabha for years are now scared because they cannot continue to scam funds after the elections on the 23rd. This is a disappointing situation. Groups of thugs in the underworld have been brought together today and various illegal activities are taking place. A supporter of the former chairman of the Kadwela Pradesh Sabha also sustained injuries in the clash. This is the second one of Minister Vimal Weerawansa and Ban Ki-moon's teledrama. In the sense, they are carrying out a charade because they are infuriated by the defeat which is looming ahead. I can state responsibly that my group has not done any such thing. Minister Vimal Weerawansa knows to direct this teledrama very well. Meanwhile, the police stated it has received information regarding 6 people who are suspected to be connected to the clash. The police have also taken into custody a van in connection with the incident.
The Cabinet has decided to grant broadcasting rights of international cricket matches only to state media institutions. This was revealed at a Cabinet media briefing held today.
On a proposal made by the Honourable Minister of Mass Media and Information, Mr. K.L. Ramukwella, Cabinet approval was granted to exclusively award TV and radio broadcasting rights of international cricket matches to Sri Lanka or abroad to state media. To consider providing such broadcasting rights to private television and radio channels, which are exclusively dedicated to sports on negotiated terms, was also approved by the Cabinet.
Meanwhile, former Sri Lanka Test captain Arjuna Ranatunga says that considering granting broadcasting rights to selected private media institutions is unfair.
Earlier it was said that broadcasting rights of cricket matches were given to state media. However, at the Cabinet briefing held today, it has been stated that private institutions dedicated to sports can get the broadcasting rights. It is Carlton Sports Channel, which was newly launched, that is dedicated to sports. Through this, it is evident that sports in the country is being driven towards a different direction after being ruled by a dictatorship. Furthermore, when you look at Sri Lanka cricket, a lot of money has got lost. Today, Sri Lanka cricket has become bankrupt after constructing grounds. An environment has also been created which will waste public money, and the public will be burdened by hosting the Commonwealth Games. In the future, they are hoping to hand over Sri Lanka cricket to businessmen. They are trying to do this through bookie owners. I believe that the government has a great need to destroy sports in the country.
Minister of Petroleum Industries Susil Premajanda, speaking at the Cabinet media briefing today, stated that the government has no intention of increasing fuel prices.
Acting leader of the United National Party, Karujaya Surya, says that the party will stand up against the suppression of the people's rights. He made this statement in Kegal today.
Acting leader of the United National Party, Karujaya Surya, along with parliamentarians and party activists, visited the Kegal town today to campaign for the upcoming local government election. What is needed is to create a society where there is justice. Everywhere we see injustice, corruption and terror. The good ties that were there with powerful nations in the world is now waning. This is because when these countries talk about democracy, good governance, human rights and media freedom, they are being labelled as tigers. The rights of the country's people cannot be suppressed by iron rods, shooting or by threatening. These rights cannot be taken away. If such a situation arises, we will stand up on behalf of the people. Today a situation is a reason where people pay more and consume less. The government is trying to introduce another new inflation index. Through this inflation index, they are trying to show that the commodity prices are reducing. The country is being isolated internationally. Today we are left with Libya, Myanmar, China and Iran as our friends.